You are going to die one day. Not to scare you. Just to wake you up for the next 10 minutes, because most people go their whole lives avoiding that sentence, and avoiding it is exactly what makes them waste the time they have left. In this video, I'm going to tell you what nobody tells you about a short life. Not the greeting card version. The real one. The one that hits you at 2 in the morning when you can't sleep and you start doing math you didn't ask to do. How many summers do I actually have left? How many more times will I see my parents? How many years have I already handed over to a version of my life I never chose on purpose? Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're going to look at your next 24 hours differently. Not because I'm going to motivate you. Because I'm going to be honest with you. A few years ago I did something most people never do. I sat down and actually counted. Not my bank account. My time. If you live to 80, and you're in your late 20s or 30s right now, you have somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 weekends left. That's it. Not weeks. Weekends. The number is small enough to fit on an index card. I remember staring at that number and feeling something I didn't expect. Not fear. Grief. Grief for the years I had already spent asleep at the wheel, scrolling, postponing, telling myself there was more time coming, like time was a subscription that auto-renews forever. It doesn't auto-renew. It just runs. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Life doesn't feel short while you're living it. It feels short only when you look backward. In the moment, a Tuesday feels endless. A boring meeting feels endless. A fight with someone you love feels endless, like there will always be another chance to fix it tomorrow. But zoom out 5 years and that same stretch of time compresses into a single blurry memory, if it's remembered at all. You're not actually short on time day to day. You're short on attention to how much of it you're burning on autopilot. Pause for a second. Think about last week. Not the highlight reel version, the real version. How much of it can you actually remember in detail? If you're honest, probably very little. That's not because the week didn't happen. It's because you weren't there for most of it. Your body was there. You weren't. That's the quiet tragedy of a short life. It's not that it ends. It's that so much of it gets spent unconscious, running errands for a future that keeps moving the finish line. So let's talk about what wisely actually means, because everyone throws that word around without defining it, and vague advice is useless advice. Spending your life wisely does not mean cramming it with achievements. It doesn't mean a bucket list with 50 countries on it. Plenty of people chase experience after experience and still feel hollow, because they were collecting moments instead of being inside them. Wisely means something much smaller and much harder. It means being honest about what you actually value, and then spending your hours in a way that matches that honesty instead of contradicting it. Most people are not living contradictory lives on purpose. They drifted into the contradiction one small decision at a time. You say family matters most, but your calendar says work matters most. You say health matters, but your evenings say comfort matters more. You say you want to write a book, travel, start the thing, but your last free Saturday says Netflix matters more. None of these choices are evil. They're just quiet, and repeated enough times, they become your actual life instead of the one you meant to build. Here's a question worth sitting with. If someone studied your calendar from the outside, with no idea what you say you care about, what would they conclude you actually value, based purely on where your hours go? Sit with that for a second. Uncomfortable, right? That's the point. I want to tell you about the moment this stopped being a philosophy for me and became personal. I was at a funeral. Not a dramatic one, an ordinary one, an older relative, the kind of loss you expect and still aren't ready for. And what struck me wasn't the sadness. It was the silence afterward, when everyone stood around a small table of photographs, trying to reduce an entire life down to about a dozen images. A wedding. A vacation. A birthday. That was it. 70-something years, compressed into 12 photographs and a handful of stories people told each other over coffee. And I remember thinking, is that what a life becomes? A dozen photos and some stories other people half remember. That thought didn't make me sad exactly. It made me strangely clear-headed. Because if a life eventually gets reduced to a small handful of moments anyway, then the real question isn't how do I do more. The real question is which moments do I want to be the ones that survive? And you can't answer that question by drifting. You have to choose it. So here's what I actually changed, and I'm not giving you a 5-step productivity system, because those don't survive contact with real life. I changed one thing. I started asking a single question before saying yes to anything. Would future me, the one looking back from the end, be glad I spent this hour this way? Not happy in the moment. Glad, later, looking back. That question is uncomfortable because it's honest. It doesn't care about what feels urgent right now. It only cares about what will still matter when you're the person standing at that small table of photographs. Try it this week. Before you say yes to another obligation, another scroll, another day where the important thing gets pushed to tomorrow again, ask that question. Would future you be glad? If the answer is no, that's information. Not guilt. Information. Here's the second thing worth understanding, and it might be the most freeing idea in this entire video. You do not need a dramatic life to spend it wisely. You don't need to quit your job tomorrow or move across the world to prove you're taking this seriously. Wisdom isn't a grand gesture. It's a pattern of small, unglamorous decisions repeated so often they quietly become who you are. Calling the person you've been meaning to call instead of thinking about calling them. Sitting through the uncomfortable conversation instead of rehearsing the comfortable excuse. Closing the laptop 10 minutes early to actually be present at the dinner table. None of that will make a highlight reel. All of it is what an actual well-spent life is built from. And this is the part people resist the most, because it sounds too small to matter. But think about what you actually remember from people who mattered to you. It's rarely the big gestures. It's the ordinary Tuesday where someone showed up, paid attention, and made you feel seen. Nobody's dying wish is for more spreadsheets finished on time. What people actually mourn, at the end, is time they didn't spend with the people and pursuits that mattered, not tasks they didn't complete. So here's what I want you to walk away with. Life being short isn't a threat. It's a filter. It's the thing that, once you actually let it in, quietly deletes the noise for you. The argument that doesn't matter. The comparison that doesn't matter. The version of yourself you've been performing for people who, if we're honest, are far too busy living their own short lives to be paying attention to yours. You don't get to control how many weekends are left on that index card. But you get complete control over what fills the ones you have. That's not a small kind of power. That's the only kind that was ever actually yours. So before this video ends, ask yourself one last time, gently, no guilt attached. If you kept spending your hours exactly the way you have been, would the person at the end of this life be proud of what filled it? If the honest answer is not yet, good. That means there's still time to change the pattern. Not someday. This week. Starting with the very next hour you're about to spend.
Like to learn more about human psychology? Like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe my channel now. Thank you for watching.